If you feel like you don't quite know what you want to do with your life, this video is for you. I was you up until I was 27 years old, and now it's already 10 years ago. I want to start by saying that I already knew that I want to do something creative with my life, but I didn't have the outlets to actually do that. And I feel like I had so many obstacles, which I actually let to be obstacles. And I wasn't really moving forward with anything that I wanted to do with my life because I thought that things will just magically fall into place. And as everything up until that point in my life, I felt that things would just appear in my life and I would just get to pick and choose. That's where I went really wrong. I have to say that yes, eventually I did take action with becoming an artist and applying for art academies, and especially the university that I started to study photography in Finland. This was 2014. But I applied for many years before I actually got chosen and got in. And I had very different plans before I started my artistic journey. And I have to say that I personally feel my journey was kind of backwards, and I feel that it might help someone who still feels like they're stuck in the very same place that they've been for a while. You feel that you are not where you want to be at this exact time. There was like years that I applied to study in art academy, to study photography, and before that I was quite sure that I want to study photography, but I wasn't really sure of how I would get there, and I definitely didn't know what kind of steps I would have to take. And just overall I felt that there was like no roadmap for what I wanted to do, and I really didn't know how to get there because we had zero artistic talent in my family. All my friends were very non-artistic people. And I wanted to tell you this backstory just to tell you a bit more about where I started, because I feel that we sometimes have this misconception of the other people who are doing what they are doing and us seeing that they are succeeding in their lives. We sometimes might feel or think that they already had the tools, or they knew the right people, or their family helped them out financially, and sometimes that's the case. But sometimes it also means that we don't know anything. We don't know how people are getting ahead or how they're getting forward. So understanding that there are multiple roads to get where you want to get, but before you get really clear on what it is you want to do, it's almost like you're just a ship that is drifting without a harbor, so you will not get to the place that you actually want to go. Firstly, I wanted to share some of the tools or things that I learned to do or use in order to clarify my road. And I want to also add that I'm still using these tools, I'm still doing the practices. It never really ends, because I feel that the more you get to know yourself, the more the world around you changes. The more you get to know yourself, the more your dreams change. So you always have to readjust yourself to be more ready and more aligned with what you want to do. So the dreams that I had when I was 15 are definitely not the dreams that I want to do now. But if you never start, it just feels like you're never actually getting any closer to that goal or any closer to the change that you want to make. Like, you cannot be a different person and still stay in the same place. It is not possible. I wish that somebody would have told me these things that I'm about to tell you here, but nobody did, and I actually had to figure everything out on my own. I hope that these will help you out to find and fine-tune your own direction and just clarify what you want to do. So firstly, I'm gonna start with some questions that I wish I would have asked myself when I was younger, because these would have helped me so much. And I know, again, it just feels like you want to take action and see results immediately. But the thing is, if you want to change your environment, you need to firstly change yourself, because your environment is a reflection of you. So you cannot change your environment and just stay the same. All up until, I would say, almost my 30s, I never did any self-reflection. Can you imagine? I would be doing maybe some minor meditation here or there, but I didn't really quite understand what was beneath it and why I was doing it. I was journaling, I kept a diary, but I didn't know how to really understand my thoughts and how to also disconnect from them, which is one thing that you need to do, because otherwise, if you're gonna identify with what you think, just don't believe everything you think. Really, it's just that simple. Our minds will just feed on a lot of things, and most of them are not true. 90% of our thoughts from day-to-day life are the same. First thing that I would definitely ask myself, my younger self, what do I like to do? What are the actual things that I enjoy doing. And these can be super simple. Like, these don't have to be actual hobbies or things that you accomplish. It can be really anything, like very simple things. And just list everything down that you can think of, like just the smallest things, because these are the things that you would do even if nobody would pay you, right? So you actually enjoy doing them. And it can be superficial things. For a very long time, I always thought that I cannot be artistic and enjoy really aesthetic, beautiful things, because I thought that art is pain and you need to suffer for your art, and you cannot, like, just these two just didn't go hand in hand together. And if you only look at your surroundings and think, okay, nobody else is doing it, that's even more of a reason for you to do it. Because why would you even want to do things like other people are doing it? Why not do something different? Just try something out, see what works for you, because it most likely will work for you just because you're doing it your way. So just getting really clear on what you like to do already. These can be hobbies or just things that you enjoy on a day-to-day basis. This doesn't have to be like a list of things that you would see yourself doing as a profession, because you need to start from just the interest, right? Anything that we do consistently requires authentic interest to that topic. The second thing that might seem a bit too simple is get to know yourself. And that is a simple thing to say, and I know that it's not always clear what that means. Like in the previous question that you asked yourself, like what kind of things you like to do more of those. Start seeing what things really bring you happiness and do more of those. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations, challenge yourself a bit. Yes, do things that you enjoy doing, but in contrast, also try things that you've never tried before. See whether you like it or not, and if you don't, take notice why you don't like them. Like for me, for instance, I always thought that I'm a team player in the way of, like, I would enjoy sports where we're in teams. I actually don't really enjoy it that much. I like to play on my own, and that's why also I became a photo artist, so I actually did play by myself already when I was younger, and this really continued up until my adult years, where I understood that everything that I enjoyed doing, I mostly enjoyed doing it by myself. There's no pressure to do anything, and you can really focus on just being with yourself. Which leads me to another thing. Getting to know yourself also means getting comfortable with yourself. Not only knowing what you like, what you dislike, also the quietness, also the awkward silence that you have to go through when you are on your own. And I wish I would have known this when I was younger, because I was really uncomfortable in being with myself alone. I remember being a very clingy person. I needed my friends, I needed my boyfriends. I always needed something to be going on. I always felt bored when I was with myself. I felt like I didn't have the imagination to really build the type of life that I envisioned to have, and the life that I wanted to have. And I feel like this was maybe a contrast based on having to be alone my younger years, and when I became a teenager I felt like there was a need for everyone. And then after doing some inner work, I understood that being okay with yourself, being comfortable in your own skin, however you look, whoever you are, and whatever situation you're in at the moment, is really the work you need to do. It's not something that somebody will help you get through. It's something you need to do. And if you're not willing to do the work, obviously you will never feel okay with just sitting by yourself, not having anything going on. But only you can make your own life exciting. So get to know yourself, go to exhibitions, go get some dinner on your own, go for walks, start exercising, running, I don't know, some sort of sport that you can do on your own, or just moving your body, whether it's yoga, or start reading books. Immerse yourself with artistic and cultural events like exhibitions, maybe theater, maybe stand-up, musical events. Experience different types of things and see how you feel about it, and really be really mindful if you're feeling tension when you go out on your own because you're a bit embarrassed to sit by yourself. What if somebody's watching? Like, these are all the things that are sort of building this character of yours. And what comes to being still, obviously being by yourself, but not always filling the void with having like podcasts on whenever you're walking, or maybe, listening to music, just being in complete silence. And also, I highly recommend meditation. It's the most uncomfortable thing that you will be doing, but I assure you that it will be the most beneficial. I would say that the first week is pretty much horrible because you cannot really sit in your own skin, and you feel like there's like something is crawling your skin because you cannot just sit still. But once you get past that point, it becomes so enjoyable that you start to crave it. And the more you meditate and sit still, you know, without any distractions, you start to notice your own thoughts. And the thoughts that come up are so interesting because these are sort of breadcrumbs to tell you more about yourself, more about these subconscious thoughts that you're not always able to connect to, because on a day-to-day basis, it feels like we're always in such a hurry that we don't really hear ourselves. And that is why we also repeat the same cycles of things that we maybe don't even enjoy doing, but do because we don't know what are the other steps to take. And of course, just journal everything that comes up to you. What I do is usually I write everything on my notes app, or I have a small booklet where I write things by hand. Or if I'm in a super hurry and I cannot write things down, I send myself a voice note. Maybe if I have a nanosecond of a thought. Of one way how I see ideas is I either see like a word that comes into my mind, or then I see a vision of something. So I might see a vision that is based on my future photo shoot. So I might have an idea of maybe a location and a topic that I want to photograph, and I write it down instantly, because these are sort of the downloads that you should be paying attention to. And if you understand to listen to it, your intuition will start to become very strong. Almost feel it in your body when you're doing something that is going against what you know you actually want to choose. So your intuition becomes very heightened. And the last thing that I've told you in the past couple of videos, and I cannot stop talking about it, is morning pages. And not any type of morning pages, but pages where you do free writing. So what I do is I wake up, I don't talk to anyone, I just try to go to my desk, open my laptop, and start writing. And I write as long as it takes to get 3 pages full. Just don't censor yourself, let everything out, everything, whether it's stressful thoughts, whether it's, you know, maybe there's something you don't like about someone, write that down. Anything you have that is weighing on your mind, just write it down. I would write down how I would be doing the laundry, how I'm going to go to work, or what I'm going to eat at work. Like, I would be writing the most boring things, but I would get these thoughts out on the paper. Because after you've written what you're gonna eat at work, your thought goes into something else and you're gonna write that. And after multiple of thoughts like this, you start to realize that there is a connection about things that you're talking about and also thinking about. And once you write it on paper, it loses its meaning in a way. Either you gain immensely unique ideas, because once you're writing it down, there's new ideas popping up. It's almost like you're clearing the way or clearing the path. But also what comes up is once you're dumping all these like negative thoughts, stressful things, anything you have on your mind, when you're dumping it on the paper, you feel a lot lighter after this. And you start to be very aware of your thought patterns, but also the things that you are consciously but also unconsciously doing and saying to yourself. Because when you just do free writing, you notice that you might be talking about yourself pretty like in a very bad tone. And this is a realization that I had years ago when I started to do morning pages at first, but for me back then it was more like journaling, and now it's more like, I would say, very strategic work, where I always discuss about how I feel during the morning when I wake up, but also what I did the previous day. And if there's some sort of conflicts or things that I need to do some self-reflection on, I try to do it on the morning pages, because then I usually always notice that there was something that I was missing in the moment during the conflict. And I just have to say, it's something that will easily blow your mind once you start doing it. These are all the tips that I can assure you will, if not make you realize something about yourself, about the direction in your life, but will definitely make you realize something about the person that you want to become at some point. Because understand that even if you would do all these questions and you would start doing exercises, mind exercises, it will take some time for you to get to the point where you would be able to tell yourself that, hey, I'm actually where I want to be at this time. And again, being grateful and being happy where you are now, being healthy and alive, and just being surrounded by the people that you love. This is something totally different than still wanting to grow and to be better, getting to another place in your life. That's totally okay. You can do both simultaneously. These are definitely the tools that I wish somebody would have told me. I'm still doing them on a daily. And if not on a daily, then, every other week. Because sometimes we get tired. Also, remember to enjoy life. It's really important. I sometimes forget. I'm a very practical person, and I need to remind myself to also, be a bit of a hedonist, like enjoy the small things, enjoy food, enjoy the sun, going out, doing things. Whenever I remind myself of doing these and actually doing them, life gets instantly better. So last advice is remember to enjoy life too. right? I'll see you next week.